So once we created our first 3D 3D curve, as you can see, if you turn around, we can see our curve. So it's probably a good time to create our second display state. So we can always toggle back and forth and see the clear design. So if you come over here, configuration manager, and then you come all the way down here, let's pull this a little bit up, and then you click here and say add display state. So if we jump over to our second display state, then we can hide our pictures, and we can hide our planes. Okay, so now we have a clear visual on our first 3D curve. Okay, so let's jump back to our default display state, and then let's create our second 3D curve. So let's jump to our picture here. So as you can see, the way we're going to approach this is that we're going to create only as it comes around this face here, as it comes around all the way here. It's only going to take half of this section. So we're only going to take half of this section, which is going this way, and it follows that line all the way back here. So and then with this half of this top part, and we're gonna come all the way down, and once we come all the way down, we will trim away half of it, and then trim out the wheels, and then we create our different surfaces for these bottom sections here, and the other bits, the diffuser. So let's jump back to the SolidWorks, and let's create our second 3D curve. So let's sketch on the top plane, and then let's have a look at our 3D curve. It's lining up exactly where we want it. Okay, so we're only going to take half of it, and as you can see, this line is actually so basically the fillet of the vehicle comes around here. So that's a little bit of fillet, and it goes down. So we're going to get only half of this section here all the way back here. Okay, so let's create that curve, and then we're going to come from about here, and then just half of it what we need. Try not to introduce too much curvature. Okay, and let's adjust our curvature just a little bit. We can always trim out excess curvature that we don't need. So let's make this area a bit straighter. Okay, let's bring this up in here. And as you can see, I'm not bringing the line. Here in this direction. Actually, we need to get onto this line here. Okay. And like I said before, I'm trying not to get on this line accurately, because we can always trim out the excess that we don't need. So the less curvature that you introduce, the better it is. I will show you that when we get to it. Okay. So for now, we're going to use this curvature to create our first half of this top section, and we can always trim out the excess afterwards, just to create up our curvature for our surface that we are looking for. Okay, so I'm going to press OK on that and exit this sketch, and I'm gonna jump over to front plane, create a sketch on that. Okay, so this was our first sketch, and now we're going to come from somewhere about here, and we're going to add some profile to our surface with this curvature. So let's have a look at a picture. So as you can see, it's actually pretty straight in, is not much raise. So the second curve is not raising up from the first curvature. It's going to be quite similar to that curvature. However, it does have so basically it does increases here. So as you look in from this side, from the side view, you see that the surface is actually raising about this section here, and then it kind of levels up about here and follows the straightness all the way back. So let's create a curvature with starting from about here. And it levels out about here. Well, let's follow our line at this point, and then we will jump over to our second display state, and we will adjust our curvature. Actually, let's jump over to a second display state now, so we can see a lot better. Well, that's the point. That's the point. So I want to get this area here. Right. Let's see if we can jump back inside the sketch. We can. Great. Okay. So it levels out. It levels out somewhere about there, and we're just gonna follow this line. Try not to snap on the 3D curve. Okay, just roughly follow the line all the way back here. Okay, so now we can click on our sketch and adjust the curvature. Let's jump over to our first default display state. See what we're working with. Okay, that looks good. Okay, let's jump back to our second display state, and let's try to be as closer to the second one, the first curve that we can. Okay. So you know, one thing important to note is that the first surfaces the first surface of this design or any design is the crucial one, because that will determine that will determine your design all the way to the end. And also you know, you gotta make sure, you gotta be sure that all your curves and all your surfaces are solid, so you don't have rogue elements anywhere. Because believe me, if you let go of one spline or one surface that is not correct, you know, it will give you a lot of hard time in the end of the design. You get trouble with creating a solid. You get trouble with knitting surfaces together, and also when it comes to rendering the design. Okay, so I'm quite happy about with this curve. I'm going to exit this sketch. Okay, and I'm going to add a project curve, and I'm going to select sketch on sketch, and then select these two. Okay, so now we have our first 2 3D curve. Let's just have a look at here. It looks pretty good. Okay, and let's jump back to our default display state. And now we're going to create our third 3D sketch, which is just going to be on the top plane here. So let's create a sketch here. And then we won't follow this outside line, because this whole area here is the spoiler, downforce, diffuser parts. So what we are designing is the actual edge of the vehicle. Okay, so let's just go to convert entities, and we're going to convert this sketch here, and press OK on that, and exit our sketch. Okay, so if we go over to our display state, we have our 3 curves set up. So in the next tutorial, what we're going to do is we're going to create some guide curves, controlling curves, and then create our surface. Okay, see you in the next one.